Hi, I'm Maeva, and this is Raising with the Village, a podcast where real parents share real stories so we can all feel a little more connected on this wild journey of raising children. Today's guest takes us on a journey that begins long before motherhood officially started for her. From being a little girl who adored babies and dreamt of having a family of her own, to growing up in a world full of headlines about fertility fears, she carried that quiet worry with her in adulthood, even though nothing medically suggested she should. In this episode, she shares how those early thoughts shaped her path to becoming a mother of three. We talk about welcoming her first baby and the questions, surprises, and identity shifts that came with that new chapter. And then how her family continued to grow with two more children, each adding their own layer to her story of motherhood. It's an honest, thoughtful reflection on expectations, fears, and the beautiful, messy reality of building the family you once only imagined. Let's listen to Candida's story. Hi, how are you?
Hello, hi, I'm good.
Good, okay.
Excited to be here.
Me too. I can't wait to hear your story. I'm so excited. Cool.
Can't wait to share it.
So let's start with quick introductions.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Candida Fiango, 38, mum of three.
Okay, perfect. Let's get started then.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think you wanted to share your experience of motherhood, sort of the comparison between what you had imagined it was going to be
Yeah.
and the reality
And
of
what
it.
it actually is. Yeah. I feel like I've not ever shared my story apart from just with like mum friends in conversations.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm at a good point in my life now to kind of share what I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
Because I've been a mum now for almost 8 years.
Good.
Which is,
Good job.
It feels like it is a long time in my lifetime, you know. It's
It is someone's lifetime.
It is my son's lifetime, yeah. So it's a big chunk of my life, you know. It's all of my 30s.
Yeah.
I've been a mum. So, yeah, I feel like it's a good time to share.
Well, I think it's a good time to share. It's a good time maybe for us to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at least just to listen to your story.
Yeah.
So shall we go back to the very beginning of it, when you were a tiny wee little girl?
Baby.
Do you want to tell me a bit more about your family, the family that you grew up in?
Yeah.
As a
Okay.
child?
So my parents are from Ghana. And they came here in the 80s.
Yeah.
And they had 3 kids. My sister first, my brother 4 years later, and then myself 2 years later. So between my sister and me, there was 6-year gap.
6 years.
And then me and my brother, 2-year gap.
Yeah.
And I'm the baby of the family. And yeah, we grew up in South London, really, really lovely childhood. Just remember being around family, friends, always playing outside. I've got some of the same friends that I had from really young that are still my friends today. Just a really happy childhood. I always felt loved. I think probably part of it is my birth order as well. I'm the youngest. Yeah. So naturally for me, I think growing up was really easy because I always had my siblings as my almost second parents. Yeah. So I never really had to worry about much. I always had them. And loads of family around. So yeah, I had a really, really wonderful childhood, and my parents set me up for life, really.
And it's lovely. I'm loving that. That's such a strong start to life.
Yeah, lovely.
And so when you were that little girl, what was your view on becoming a mum at some point? Is that something you thought about?
You know, it's funny because when I was young, I was obsessed with babies. Like, I think my earliest story that I was told, which is one that followed me through, which my family always found funny, is my cousin, when he was a newborn baby, my parents and my auntie, they couldn't find me. They were looking around the house like, where am I? I was 2.5 at the time. 2.5, which is the age of my daughter now. And when they went upstairs to find me, and I was holding my 2-week-old cousin. I'd taken him out of his cot and I was holding him in my arms at 2.5 years old.
The anxiety
and
in
they
me.
said, can you imagine? And they always laugh about it today. They always like, oh my God, can you remember you were 2 years old and you were holding, but I was always obsessed with babies, to the point where, which I don't think this is as funny, but one of my uncles was just like, she's going to have a baby very young. Like, that's how obsessed she is with kids. So I always wanted to be a mum, I wanted a younger sibling so desperately. But my mum told me, look, the next person in this family that's going to have a baby is going to be you. And at 7 years old, you're thinking, that's not going to be for a long time. But I accepted it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. It was though. So, I always wanted to be a mum, loved babies. But I guess like progressing through life, probably by the time I hit about 10, I didn't care about babies anymore. You know, I cared about friends and, you know, being with my girlfriends and, you know, just living. So it wasn't really something I kind of thought about at all. Even in my early 20s, I mean, I just kind of saw it as a rite of passage in my life, if that makes sense.
So you knew it was going to happen?
Yeah, it was just like I knew it was going to happen. But I think growing up in kind of a traditional Ghanaian household, you go to school, you get as much education as you can, you get your job, you get married and you have children. Like it wasn't a thing of like, will I get married? Will I have kids? In my mind, the way I was kind of raised in my community and my family, it was just kind of a rite of passage kind of thing, like when it happens.
It was not a when, it was not an if, it was a when.
Yeah, exactly. And I think back, I'm like, oh my God, like, wow, I actually just assumed this will happen, because it's not, you don't just assume it, or you can. But yeah, it just kind of, I always thought it would happen for me because I just expected it. And it happened, I guess, to my parents and all of my parents' siblings. It was just kind of how life goes, if that makes sense.
So when did you meet with that person that would help you create that family?
Yeah, so I met my husband at 23.
Okay, quite young.
It was actually, at the time it was really young. Yeah, for both of us, he was 23 as well. So we met at a really young age, and I think for both of us, when we met, neither of us were looking for our life partner. Like we both weren't. We both finished university a couple of years before. We both graduated in the financial crisis, so it was so hard at the time to get a job. Sorry. It was so hard to get a job at the time. So our minds were just thinking of getting a job, saving up, buying a property or whatever else kind of was on our minds. And I remember when we did start dating, probably about 6 months in, and, you know, we really fell for each other. I remember we were both found each other very young. Like we didn't expect to kind of end our dating life, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of final being with each other and at such a young age. So we kind of needed to get our heads around that. But even then, I still looked at marriage and children still well into the future. I didn't still think about it as if it was something that was going to happen in the following years. I mean, at the time, I was not even working my graduate position at the time. So it still was something in the future. But I think a few years into our relationship, that's probably when I started to think about it, because then I started to think about my age and I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to get married at a certain age and have children. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, that's actually not as far off as I thought.
What was the script in your mind? Did you have an age that you had always thought, oh, when I'm, 25, when I'm 30, when I'm...
I never did. I never had an age in my mind. Probably when I was younger, I would have expected it to be maybe mid-20s, but I was born in the 80s. So in the 90s, as a child, that was the average age that people were having children back in the 90s. But by the time I hit my mid-20s, there was no chance. Like I was not ready at the time myself. But the decade before, that was just normal. So yeah, by the time I was in my mid-20s, there wasn't an age I was necessarily thinking. But I'll be honest with you, looking at, all the fear-mongering in the press and, what you would hear and see in TV shows and talk shows of I remember starting to pay a bit more attention to what people would say about fertility and this biological clock and things like that. That kind of started to get into my head a bit. And I remember speaking to a friend, and we were, how old was I? I was working at a PR agency at the time. So I think I was maybe 26.
Oh, wow. So
26 at the time. Well, at the time, I remember thinking at 26, I was speaking to a friend. I was like, oh, apparently there's this company. They do like a health MOT on your fertility to just see how long you've got left in terms of like your egg count and stuff like that. Those kind of things, I'd see them in the press and we were like, should we do it? But we didn't. So I think I started to kind of think about my fertility in terms of my biological clock. And that was at 26, which is very young to even think about it. But I think in a world where I felt that they were telling women, by the time you're 30, you know, your fertility starts to decline. Like, and I'm no doctor, but looking back, I should not have felt that way.
Yeah.
You know, as a 26-year-old, I should have just been living my life.
Yeah, I feel like it sounds a little bit too young to be worrying about fertility.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor either.
Yeah, it was, but that's just how, when you see these headlines, I used to work in public relations, so my job was always to be looking at newspapers, and these were the kind of headlines I would see. Different doctors or different experts, you know, one would say it's 40, one, you know, when your fertility starts to climb, one would say it's 30, one would say, you know, you just see different things all the time. So it was so confusing. But yeah, definitely the age 30 stuck out to me.
And so you said you had that conversation with your girlfriend at work. Is that a conversation you had with your partner as well? No, because at the time we weren't thinking about kids. So I didn't have that kind of conversation with him. I think that probably would have scared him off. But no, I didn't have a conversation with him at all. No, it was just like a thing with friends just to say, oh my God, should we have a look at this? But it wasn't something I read too deeply into. But it probably would have been like that day when I'd seen something. But yeah, it wasn't anything I was like necessarily rushing into at the time. Okay, so moving forward to when you do start having that conversation with your partner, how old were you at that point?
When we actually decided that we wanted to start a family, we got engaged at 27. And, or was I 28? About 28. And we got married at 30. Or we got married at 29, so I'm forgetting we got married at 29, engaged 28, married at 29. So yeah, the kids conversation came in around 28, 29. That was when we started to have the serious conversation about children. But before then, it was just, in the future. But it just seemed like the future just kept getting closer and closer, like really fast. So before I knew it, we were getting married. And then that's when.
When you say it was starting to be really close, like the future was now, was that excitement, the future is now? Was that a bit nervousness? What was a bit of anxiety? What was it like?
I think it was more excitement. Definitely excitement, loads and loads of excitement. But at the same time, you know, I was thinking, even at the age of 29, I was thinking, gosh, there's so many things I would have wanted to do as well. But I would have never have stopped wanting to get married and start a family. But I did think, oh gosh, wish I'd kind of done this and this.
What was on your mind? So, what would you have done?
Yeah, so just like having time, moving abroad. Visiting more places. Those were kind of the things on the list. It was more that, probably more seeing the world is what was on my mind more than anything else.
Was it because for you it was a case of once the kids are here, we sort of move into the family frame, the family structure that I know or that I've experienced myself as a child, and that doesn't really happen? Or what was the reason for it?
I think it was more that knowing that I could still do these things, but it wouldn't be carefree.
Yes.
That's all. So I know all these things that I wanted, I could still do them, but it wouldn't be how it would be without children.
It would be a different experience.
It would be a whole different experience. That was it. And just getting my head around that. But it's the pros and cons always weighed in favour of starting a family. Yeah.
Fair enough. Right, so you're in your very early 30s and you made the decision to go ahead and start a family. How quickly did you get pregnant?
Oh, straight away.
Okay.
Yeah, really straight away.
Again, was that excitement or was it a bit of, I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly?
Yeah, I did not think it was going to happen that quickly. Yeah, I would think yeah, it was straight away, super quick. And yeah, we just got married. So we got married in the February, and then we conceived in the April.
Oh, wow.
So it was really quick. Yeah. Like pretty much straight away for us. So yeah, it was excitement because we always wanted kids, but things weren't at the time lined up how we would have probably expected. I think we'd put an offer into a property and it hadn't happened yet. And, you know, things at work and just things. But then at the time, I always knew that things will always work out. But yeah, it happened really quickly. And yeah, we definitely had like our anxieties. But I think you just would at any age, wouldn't you?
Probably.
Like regardless, you having a kid, you know your life is about to change dramatically. So yeah, but it was more excitement because it's something I always wanted. And it was happening. Like, whoa.
So how was that first pregnancy?
Yeah, the pregnancy was a good one. I'm really, really thankful for it. I had a really easy pregnancy for my firstborn son. Really, really easy pregnancy, really smooth. I was full of energy, still able to kind of maneuver. I worked all the way up until pretty much the end, going into the office 5 days a week, which is what we would do pre-COVID, pregnant, not pregnant, whatever, you're in the office. So I was still kind of able to just enjoy life. And yeah, I had a good pregnancy. I had a few friends around who also either just had children or were pregnant at the same time. It was my mum and dad's first grandchild.
So you were the first in the end to have.
I was the first. Yeah, 23 years later. So I was the first grandchild. So I had loads of support from my family and my husband's family. They just think they're one of their sons, well, their only son, they just had a little boy as well. So it was like loads of children around. So it was just a really nice time. And yeah, pregnancy-wise, health-wise, yeah, it was a nice one. I was happy.
Okay. And so the baby comes.
Yeah.
What was it like once the baby was finally here?
Gosh, yeah. So that's where it all kind of changed. I think it was just surreal. That's the only way I can describe it. Once the baby came, it was just a surreal feeling. I still remember the minute he was put on my chest. And I remember, it's going to sound funny, but I remember him feeling like a hot chicken. like a rotisserie chicken just was put on top of me. Just like a hot piece of material. Like it just felt very, thinking, is this my child? And then, yeah, the first couple of days were, yeah, just cloud nine. The first couple of days had, family around. It was just like a dream. He was just so beautiful, so healthy, and it was amazing. But then I feel like it was the third day where now, obviously, with experience, I don't think I read many books at the time. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't really pay attention to what actually happens after you have a baby. All I knew is that I had so much knowledge about pregnancy. I'm a big researcher, but I researched the heck out of pregnancy, hypnobirthing, all of that. So I had that all down, but I didn't do any post-baby research. So the third day, woke up in the night, had the hot sweats, and my breasts were really hard. And then spoke to a friend, spoke to my mum. They're like, that's the milk coming in. I was like, okay. Yeah. But then my mood just plummeted, just went straight to the floor. And I'm very lucky that I always have, like, mental health-wise, I've always been pretty lucky. My mental health has always been great. But at that moment, I just knew this just was not me. I just felt like so down. And I didn't know what it was. And that was, now what I know was the baby blues. And it just came out of kind of nowhere. But I know now what it was. It was hormones. And
the hormones, when they drop.
When they started, and that was kind of an instruction like, yeah, this isn't going to be as easy as it has been. Welcome.
Yeah. Was it, were you that lucky as well that it sort of worked as well with maybe your baby having a bit of a hectic night that third night? Because it can happen that...
What's that? How?
Oh, you've never heard of that?
No.
Oh, so that's something that can happen too, that first couple nights, your baby is sort of still trying to understand where they are. They're sleepy.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
But then when you hit the third or fourth night,
they know what's going on.
all of a sudden, it kind of hits them. So on your side, you've got the hormone drop.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, what's happening? And you're not yourself anymore. And for the baby, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a sense of panic or I don't know what it is, but
just kind of getting conscious and realizing they're not in the womb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and then they just
and it hits.
Yeah,
and it can be pretty terrifying if you don't know what to expect.
Probably. I can't even remember it now, but I know that my son was up all the time. Naturally, he's a newborn. And yeah, the first few nights, babies are usually sleepy, as you say. And that is true. Thinking back, they're always just drowsy, aren't they? Yeah, by the third night, they're a bit more alert. So I do remember waking up all the time. But that probably correlates to that time frame where it was just knackering. Yeah. Plus the breast as well. And I think it took some time before, it took time for them to go down.
What did you do about that? Do you remember?
When I had, I remember I had an appointment, like health visitor appointment. We know that one of those appointments that you go to like 3-4 days in, and I told her what was happening, and she had explained about this is a time where you express. Had my mum there as well. She's like, this is when you express. And I was asked to go into the bath and just put some hot flannels on the breast. And then, the milk kind of came out that way. And then I did a bit of expressing as well. And then, just kept the baby close. Yeah. And then that's kind of how they went down. But it did take a couple of days. It was painful. But it was painful. But they did kind of, I wouldn't say they completely regulated because I always had quite a lot of production. So
excess production.
I did have that. Yeah, I had that quite a lot. But it wasn't anything like the first time.
So you decided to breastfeed your son?
Yeah, so I breastfed him.
What was it like?
Yeah, I loved it. Like I really enjoyed it. It was probably one of my favourite things of having a baby was just the breastfeeding. Like I was so confident. Like I didn't care. I would do it anywhere. Like I felt so confident in it, and it just clicked. But I do remember the first day I had him, and I was in the hospital. And then they kind of put him on the breast. They're like, time to breastfeed. I'm like, okay. So I was breastfeeding, and then I put him down. And I genuinely didn't believe I had any milk. But I just pretended. I'm like, yes. Okay, just breastfed him. And then just once, there was a nurse, I think she just came around, and I said to her, you know what, I don't think I have any milk. And I said, I'm feeding this baby, but I don't know if this baby's getting anything because I don't have any. Like my breasts were exactly the same because I'd just given birth. Yeah. So then she told me to, she asked me to put my palm on the front of my top of my nipple, and like circle it around and then squeeze it. And then you see the bit of liquid come out. Yeah. What's it called again? Colostrum.
Yes.
Yeah, colostrum. The colostrum. The liquid came out. She's like, that's colostrum. So you don't have milk yet, but this is what the baby needs. It's very high in fat, blah, 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 blah. And she explained it to me. I was like, I did not know. Did not know what that was. I missed that. So I just didn't do much research about the post-baby stuff. I didn't. So everything from then was just learning day to day. Literally learning on the job, as you say.
But I think it's quite common that women on their first pregnancy, that they research a lot, that they, you will attend classes and everything, but everything is going to be about before the baby comes. Yeah. You don't really have much from what happens after.
Yeah, because it's such a big event leading up to labour. It's a massive event. And we've all got our anxieties about labour, however you're choosing to have the baby, whether you're having an elective C-section, emergency C-section, you're going for natural, whether you're going for epidural, we all know that this massive thing in us is going to come out somehow.
Yes.
And it's not going to be easy. So,
No.
So that kind of occupies a lot of time in terms of thought process. So for me, that was where my head was at. But once that whole thing was over, it was like, okay, I have this baby now. Okay, right, what do I do? But I think what I didn't realise is just how much my body would change and what the healing would look like and mentally what that would look like for me. I think all of that was just a shock for me.
What was it like then, mentally, emotionally for you?
So I think after the first 3, once I had the baby blues, I remember just walking around. I remember my mum was over and me and my husband just went for a walk. And I just remember feeling really down. And I think I probably felt like that for about a day, and I hadn't said anything because culturally as well, part of it is you've had a baby. You should quote unquote be happy, very grateful you've had a healthy child. So I didn't want to say anything to kind of bring a downer almost. But then when I went for a walk with my husband and I said to him, like, I feel really low. Like I was happy 2 days ago, but I feel really low now. And everything kind of hit me all at once. I just started to think, this is very final. There's no going back. Like everything, it's almost like, it was like a light switch. Like life has changed now. Everything I started to think about was my priority is no longer myself. We're never going to be the same again. Like we're now 3. It just all came to me with it. It was so overwhelming, the thoughts that just came to my head. So I had that. And then and then that was kind of the baby blues. After I spoke to my husband about it, genuinely, when they say a problem shared is a problem halved, like I felt so much relief just speaking to him. And I will be forever grateful for him for that conversation because it just felt so relieved. And he just kind of said things like supportive, like you're doing such a good job, like just continue, keep going. We're doing this together. We're in this together. What do you need? That kind of thing. So I'm really grateful for that. But it was still had those feelings. But then I think as time progressed, I only now realize I also had like real strong anxiety as well, which I think I've always been a bit of an anxious person, not really knowing it. But I think I have had a bit of anxiety. But when I had the baby, it was like times 20.
Yeah.
Like quite a lot of anxiety, which was, again, just a shock.
What did it feel like?
So so I said before that I used to work in PR and I used to always look at newspapers, always read in newspapers. That was part of my job. And probably all the things I've intaked over the years, you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I could read it all. Never affected me. I could read the most horrible story, but before having children, it just wouldn't affect me. I was like, God, that's awful. Turn the page. But I remember reading the newspaper and just seeing something about a child. And I just started breaking down. I remember it was nighttime. I think I was looking on, BBC on my phone and I just broke down. Just thought to myself, my God. Then I started to the thought process was this baby has been given, like not given to me, but I've had this baby, and I'm in charge of this baby, but this is so weird. Like you don't even get qualifications for this. Like I'm just trusted with a baby. Like everybody's trusted with a baby. People could be cuckoo and be trusted with a baby. So it was just those thoughts. And then I just started to think, God, I could never leave him with anybody. It was like that, just feeling super protective. But the thoughts just always thinking, God, I hope nothing bad happens to him. And I just always need to be next to him. And that was kind of where the anxiety kind of started, I think, for me.
Mm. So with that in mind, what was it like in the early days, say maybe the first month or so when you went back home?
Yeah.
What was it like? First, was your husband with you at home?
Yeah, he was with me. He had 3 weeks off, which was helpful. And then I had my mum and also my mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. So I had quite a lot, like I didn't have to do much in terms of like look after the baby. So that was really helpful. But I also, I think from 2 weeks in, I remember going to my first baby group with my mum. Wow. Because I just wanted to kind of get out of the house. You've had a routine your whole life.
That's brave, that's good.
Yeah, I remember just going to a baby group. I remember my first baby group and we were just there in a circle and I was like, yeah, this is my son, he's 2 weeks. They were all like, whoa. But I just wanted to get out and like meet other mums and just be around other people that were in the same bubble as me. Mm. And the first month was really, it was just up and down, I think, for me. Mainly good and lucky that I had so much support. But at the same time, I think, I struggled with like the nights because I was exclusively breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. My husband could only really help with moral support, or I would feed and then give him the baby to settle, and then I would go back to sleep. But I would still be waking up and getting up and feeding. You know, when they're so small, you have to actually get up and properly feed them, opposed to when it's a toddler and you can just whip it out and go back to bed. That's what I would do with my toddler. When they're older, I can just whip it out and go back to bed. But it was getting up. I found it such a struggle. So yeah, I suffered with the night shifts. But there was times where I had my mum, who had stayed over a few times, where she would take the baby. That was helpful. I had a few nights where I would express and give her the bottle of milk. But then that was helpful after about 4 hours, when I would wake up and my chest would be soaking. And then I would come downstairs and go and get the baby. She's like, why are you coming to get the baby? Go and rest. I'm like, well, I can't, because my breasts have exploded and they're paining me. So I have to now wake up. So even if I did have help, I would still have to take the baby.
Yeah. That new body.
Yeah, that new body. And I couldn't go on my front. It was just, oh gosh, what an experience.
Okay, so how long was your maternity leave with your son, with your first son?
First son, it was about 14 months, I think I took.
14 months,
Yeah, 14 months.
How?
Quite a long one.
Yeah, lovely. Or was it actually? I'm saying that, but how was it?
Oh, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved maternity leave. The first maternity leave. It was a nice experience. I used to go to loads of baby groups, met loads of mums. I just wanted to be with him. I didn't want to go back to work. I just wanted to just be with him.
So you lived up to what you had in mind.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, by the time he was, when he was about a year, that's when I started to go back to work. And I found that transition hard. But yeah, it was 13 months I took off.
What was it like then going back to work?
It was tough.
Especially because you mentioned earlier you had strong anxiety when he was just born and thinking I could never leave him with anyone. What was it like then when you went back to work? What did you do with him? Where did he go? So
he was with my mum for the first few months. Mm-hmm. And then he went to nursery. And it took me ages. I think I literally looked at all the nurseries around the area like 3 times. The nursery that he went to, I looked at when he was about 4 months, and I'd been there several times, and they used to make jokes. They're like, every time you come, he's like bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna check this place out until he is ready to come. So they used to just laugh at me, but I loved that nursery. So he went there 2 days a week, and then he was with my mum, I think, for the other 2 days or something like that. I can't remember the arrangement. But yeah, it was, I think by the time I went back to work, I didn't have as much anxiety with leaving him as I did when he was under 6 months, 6 months and under, when he wasn't on any foods. By then, he was walking, he was talking, he was bashing, throwing things. Like, I felt sorry for whoever was looking after him by that point. I was like, you guys okay? You guys survived him today? Opposed to when he was younger, and I just felt like he was so vulnerable. No, by that time, take him. He was a toddler.
And so at what point did you start thinking about baby number 2?
So baby number 2, we always wanted them to be around 2 years apart. Mm-hmm. So I think by the time Lucas was 1, that's when we were thinking about having another one. Mm-hmm. And then, we conceived, like, again, straight away.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't, again, it was a bit of a shocker. Mm-hmm. Because, again, I had things in my mind that, it's probably going to take a bit longer because I'm a bit older and this and that. I had all these things, I know.
Were you
So it would have been 32. 32, yeah. So I don't know. Again, these are things I'd probably, looking back, should not have been a worry. But at the time, it was like, will it take longer?
Well, you never know with fertility. It can be funny, exactly. To be fair.
Yeah, and I'd seen so much on secondary infertility where people have had children the first time and then no problem, second time round, what's happening, But again, for us, it happened straight away, which feel very blessed. And then, that's when we just had our second son. So by the time he was born, my firstborn was only 22 months.
Okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
just under 2 years
Just
apart.
under 2 years,
So,
yeah.
bang on, well done, guys.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
For the 2-year gap.
Yeah, we did it.
Very well done. So, how was that second pregnancy this time around? Obviously, you had a toddler.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Oh, wow. So, mental health-wise, so much better.
Yeah.
Because I kind of knew what to expect in terms of pregnancies. I didn't have as much anxiety. I didn't even think about the...
Did you have time to think?
Exactly. I didn't think about the labour. There was no reading books. There was none of that. It was just getting through. So I had my son, I think 2 days a week he was at home with me. And I think he was with my father-in-law at the time. And yeah, nursery. So we just had a little bit of mishmash. Yeah, there was no time to think. Again, luckily I was in good health and it was exactly the same as my other pregnancy, health-wise, completely the same. But with the toddler, my goodness, it was a lot. It was a lot, like having an 18-month-old. He needed to go out pretty much whenever I was with him, running after him. I think when I wanted to nap, always tired, but he didn't nap. And you can't really fall asleep with a toddler because you just don't know what's going to happen. So
don't touch anything that could burn you, cut you.
Oh my goodness.
I'll just trust you, right? And if you wouldn't mind just also preparing dinner, that would be actually quite
amazing. And I remember there was a time where I think I would have been about 7 months pregnant, and there was a few friends. I think one of my other friends was pregnant with her second, and as a joke, I'd gone into one of the meeting rooms at work. I did some work in there, but I just took a picture of myself with my head like on the desk, and I was like, "This is me right now." Like I was so knackered. Like I'm in a meeting room, and I could just sleep right now. Like I could just fall asleep. But yeah, it was definitely interesting having the toddler. But yeah, health wise, exactly the same. It was fine.
And then, briefly, actually, I was wondering, how did you prepare your toddler for the arrival of his sibling?
So the thing is, because he was only like 18 months, there wasn't really much of a preparation. The only thing that I did, I had to kind of wean him off the breast. That was the one thing I did do. I think so there was a time when I was pregnant and breastfeeding, and people would say, "Oh, he's not going to want to breastfeed because the milk changes when you're pregnant and you breastfeed." Yeah. So they kind of stop. He didn't stop. He didn't mind. He didn't mind it. He was like, "Wow, this tastes different, but whatever." But we ended up weaning him when he was about 7 months. And I would speak about like baby and tummy, mummy's having a baby. But yeah, he did. By the end of it, he was around, getting up to 2. Then it kind of clicked. But before then, there wasn't much. I didn't really buy books or anything like that. It was just kind of conversations about this is why mummy's belly's growing. There's a baby in there. But yeah, not loads of preparation.
And for you, what was your own preparation of thinking, I've got 1, we're going to move to 2.
Yeah.
What is that going to look like?
Yeah, I was a bit panicked just because my older son at the time was really clingy. And I was just thinking, how am I going to deal with a toddler who's clingy and a newborn? So we roped in family, like my father-in-law and my mum. And I did think of like pre-preparation, like prepping food, and he was in nursery at the time. So there was things that we kind of prepared around it, but I still didn't anticipate it to be as hard as it was. So it wasn't as if I was like really thinking, okay, I really need to get things in place. I didn't think it would be that hard. In retrospect, I was wrong.
And so, jumping after the birth.
Yeah.
Was it?
It was the hardest thing. I have 3 kids, and I say to people with 2, when they have 2 young kids, I genuinely, in my experience, 3 kids is easier than having 2.
Yeah.
It is easier. Like that period.
Why is that?
I think maybe the ages, to be honest, it's not even just the ages, because sometimes when I'm alone with just my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old, that's harder than having all 3 of them. Oh. It's almost as if that when
like
there's
a group
2 of them.
Dynamic?
Yeah, the group dynamic changes things. I feel like when there's 2 of them, they just fight for your attention, or they fight each other. Like there's just always something going on with them. But when there's the 3, it's like they form a little like a little tribe, almost.
A little society.
Yeah, something like that. There's always something with the three, but when there's just the two of them, and with the toddler and the baby, that was really tough.
Yeah.
I remember thinking about the days when I'm on my own with them. I remember the first time when I was on my own with them. My husband had just gone to the toilet, and I remember panicking. I'm like, "Don't be long."
Can we come with you?
Yeah, I think at the time it must have been he was about 6 days old. I hadn't been alone with them. He'd either taken the toddler, held the newborn. But I remember when we were all in the living room and he got up. I can remember watching him walk. I was like, ah! Felt like I was alone in an ocean. I remember saying, hurry up. Oh gosh, it was interesting. But yeah, I definitely found that like really, really tough. I can't lie. That was hard.
So speaking about, juggling and finding things difficult, do you want to tell me about nights?
The nights?
Yeah.
So I think the nights were the same as before, the waking up all the time. But my husband sorted out my toddler who also was waking up, but I wouldn't deal with him. So I was dealing with the nights. But the difference is between 1 and 2 is that when I had my first one, I could nap when he napped. They say sleep when baby sleeps. Yeah. And you can do that and you're okay, you can function. But when you have a toddler, there's no sleep when baby sleeps. There is none of that.
Because he doesn't sleep when baby sleeps.
He doesn't sleep. And when he does have his nap, baby might be awake. So I was trying to sync up some of the advice I had was try and sync up the kids' naps, which doesn't really happen until the kids are at least few months, the newborn's a few months old. It's younger than that. They just sleep whenever. There's no syncing in my experience. So, but then I still had to take my son to baby groups, still had to make sure he was
The first
one. Yeah. There was no baby groups for the second one. Sorry. It was just all about the first. Yeah. He needed his energy burnt. And so I was just taking the newborn around with me, taking him to the park. And he was a really busy boy. So it was just kind of making sure that he was burning his energy. But then the tiredness that I thought I had before, I was laughing at myself. I was like, I used to think I was tired. This is just, I was, but I didn't know there was levels to it. I didn't know you could be more tired.
Oh, dear.
So it was really pretty tough, I found it. But at the same time, it was, when I look back at the pictures of the kids when they were so young, it was some of the most magical times of my life. But when you're in it, you're like, God, this is a lot. And I remember there was a lady from my church and I was speaking to her. I was like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to do this? And she said, in a few months, the boys are going to play together and they're not going to care for you. They're going to be playing their Lego and they're going to have stints, obviously not very long. They're still under 3. They're going to have stints where they're just going to play together and you're going to have a breather. So, and I was like, well, when? I mean, when? Like, how? Not today. It's not like, and I'm looking at a 2-month old. I'm like, when is that going to happen? He's not going to move for a while. But before you know it, like within a click, that's exactly what happened. The two of them would just be doing their thing together. I could have a cup of tea. So yeah, it was just the early months, which was just so intense.
And the tea was still hot?
The tea was still hot.
Good.
Yeah, but it was very close to me.
Yes.
Very, very close to me. And when I saw somebody coming towards me, I'd have to be like, quickly, get up. Or I'd have to have them in front of me because you never know if one of them's going to jump from behind. Oh, gosh.
Oh, be prepared.
Be prepared, guys.
Okay. So this is 2. And so let me try and remember now.
Yeah. So lockdown happened as well, and during that pregnancy, with that. Remember? So yeah. So my son was born in December, and so the second son was born in December in 2019.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, there was lockdown.
Oh.
So I was finding it intense with the first 3 months, but I had support the first 3 months. It was still very intense, but I had my mum, I had nursery, I had my father-in-law who was looking after my firstborn like 1 day a week. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Nothing.
I was like, oh, you thought it was hard now then?
Well,
How
something's out to test you.
Exactly, this thing called COVID. And then, yeah, it was just me and the babies. And yeah, my husband was home.
But was he working from home?
He was working from home. So it was just the 4 of us at home. And yeah, those, again, like looking back, yes, they were hard because I had small children, but they were magical in the same way. And then I remember looking in the news how, comparing myself in a healthy way in terms of, looking at other parents and what they're going through and seeing that I'm not alone. Like other parents had teenagers or school children that they're having to homeschool and they're having to, try and, you've got kids that are not seeing their actual friends, that they need to see their friends, or they're just feeling so isolated and going through all of those things. And people would say to me, even though, I saw people kind of doing things over lockdown, like painting. And I remember seeing a celebrity on TV. I remember she had a baby at the same time as me. I remember her having a bowl of soup. I think it was on her Instagram. I remember her having a bowl of soup, just talking to the camera. I was thinking, I can't have a bowl of soup. Like, she's actually having a bowl of soup. Yeah, I would love a bowl of soup, but I couldn't have hot dishes like that at the time. I remember thinking I couldn't just have a bowl of soup. I'm always holding a baby.
Yes.
It wasn't safe. I remember thinking, this is my life right now. I can't even have some of that soup.
The privilege
exactly.
of the ones that can have their hot soup.
Hot soup. But so then COVID came, and I think initially, obviously, I was, like everybody else, panicked. It was unknown. But once we got into the swing of things, it was just the same routine every day, going out for our 1 hour a day walks. Had the double buggy. By then, my son was, 4 months, so he was completely alert. And we would just go for walks, go to the park. And that was what we pretty much did every day. And we lived for the weekends, like when my husband would be off, and then we would just go to check out new forests. That was pretty much all we could do. So it was a really testing time. But I think during that period is where I just grew so much resilience as a mother. Like I doubt there will be anything that was tougher than that time. I mean, I'm sure teenage parents probably will say, "Oh, really?" You wait.
Wait for it.
Yeah, exactly. You wait, or they're probably laughing at me now. But I think at the time, they just built so much resilience during that time, but also just seeing the beauty in the moments as well. Because I felt that with my second born, I felt like the time just went really fast compared to my firstborn, where I was taking all the pictures, zoom up the 1 month, how many weeks are you? Oh, he's 17 and a half weeks. And, you just get to have all those moments. But with the second born, I just felt like it just went really, really quickly. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And so by the time COVID ends, is that the time when your firstborn starts preschool?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, by the time he ended, he was in preschool, and they were both in school at the time. And I had gone back to work. And I remember the first time I went back to work, I was so anxious about going back. I didn't want to go back. But the second time round, I was so excited to go back.
A bit of free time, a bit of me time.
I couldn't wait. I could not wait, because we were all still working from home. And I think the first time, it's like your child is going off on his own to nursery, but because the boys were so close in age, they were going together.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel for my second born like I'm taking him to a whole brand new nursery. I knew the nursery, I knew the staff so well. It was just, they were like our family. So it was just like he was just going to his family. And then we had my father-in-law as well. So they just went to their granddad's. So in terms of childcare, there was no anxiety towards the childcare. That was fine. But I just got a complete breather. And when I look back, I'm just so thankful that I did have work to kind of go back to. And before, when I had my first pregnancy, I didn't appreciate that.
Did you have anything else in your life that was sort of your time and your time only outside of work? Like, I don't know, did you have sports? Did you have going out with friends?
Yeah.
Did you have anything that you were able to bring back into your life at this point, especially after COVID? I think, a lot of us were just desperate to go back out. Did you have any of that?
Yeah, so I used to go to the gym, like, pretty much every lunchtime, like go to classes, like I loved it. For runs, I used to go for a run in the morning. That was like my time.
In the morning?
Well, after school run, my husband would do the school run, and then I would do my run. Okay. And then I'd have my first meeting. Everybody in my team at the time were doing running in the morning. That was like everyone's thing.
Wow.
So we would all kind of, don't do that anymore, but we would come back.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, no, not anymore. But we used to all come to our meeting, and we'd all like have had our run. We had the app and everything. And then, gym in the afternoon. And then seeing friends was not as often. unless it was weekends. So that was kind of seldom. But yeah, the only time I really had was just time out in terms of gym. But then we were all working from home at the time. So I still had, pretty much 4 days of quiet time, which was, very welcomed.
And so at what point did you decide that you wanted to grow the family a little bit more?
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted a bit of a bigger gap this time. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to do 2 years again.
What was the reason?
Well, it was mainly, I'd say, financial. Like, I wanted to get a better job. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get a promotion, move departments, or like get a new job altogether. So that was part of the reason why. It was just I wanted to get another job before we thought about having another baby. So that was mainly the reason. So that wasn't happening until then. So that's kind of how that happened.
Okay, well, fair enough. Very good. Did you get the job?
I did, yeah.
Congrats.
Got the job, and then we were like, right, here we go. It's back on.
Okay, and how quickly did that happen this time?
Yeah, it was the same. The same again. It was quick. I had been on like a different contraceptive this time round, and I was on a coil this time round when before I was on the pill. So I took it out, and same thing, kind of assumed that it would take a bit longer. Didn't kind of know. I'd never had a coil before, so I didn't know whether it would be instant or it would take some time. And for me, that's how it happened.
For you, your body reacted exactly the same.
Yeah, so it was just exactly the same. So it happened straight away, which again, very thankful for. And then that's how that happened. So by then, my younger son was 2, and then my older son was 3.5.
Oh, so still very young.
Yeah, he was 4. Sorry, 4 and 2.
4 and 2.
When we fell pregnant with the third born. Yeah.
Okay. And so how was the pregnancy this time around?
Yeah, it was very different. I think early on I knew I was having a girl.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it was just completely different. The first 2 pregnancies were easy. But this time around, as soon as I was pregnant, I couldn't eat, felt sick. I couldn't stand food. It was so bad. I didn't eat for days. I would try, but I would just want to throw up. The times I did throw up, it was, I found it really tough this time round. So I just knew, I was like, my boys didn't do this to me. They didn't do this to me.
It's got to be a girl.
It's got to be a girl. It has to be a girl. And it was, but I just knew straight away. So the pregnancy was a lot different. I still, I think by the time I got into my second trimester, everything kind of settled down. But the first trimester, I found really, really rough, really tough in comparison, or just always sleeping. I think there was a time where I remember I went to put one of the toddlers down for a nap and my husband had gone to put the other one down. And by the time he'd come into the room and I was asleep, I fell asleep before he did. And my son was like, shh, Mummy's having a nap.
Oh, that was so kind.
My husband was like, are you putting him down or is he putting you down? I'm like, both.
The little gentleman, though. Shh, Mummy's sleeping.
Mummy's having a sleep. She's tired.
And you probably were exhausted.
So exhausted.
Oh. So, second trimester onwards, things were good?
Yeah, things were good. But I think with this pregnancy, I had a lot of anxiety, like so much anxiety, but it was about the health of the baby. It was
why is that?
It was just, sorry?
Why is that?
I couldn't even tell you. Like,
did you have any reasons to?
No, I didn't have any reason. I just had, from the moment I found out I was pregnant, it was like, is this baby going to be okay? And I never had that before.
Okay.
I remember we went for an early scan just because I before the 12-week one, just to check if everything was okay. And I remember once they showed us the baby was like 10 weeks. And I remember just breaking down crying. And they were like, is that happy tears? And I'm like, yes. I hadn't been able to sleep. I didn't know if the baby was okay. And unfortunately, that kind of traveled throughout the pregnancy. I was just always super duper anxious, just purely for the health of the baby. I remember, I'm so thankful for like social media because you get to see different people's accounts and experiences, and thankful for like podcasts and stuff like that where you realize you're not alone. And I remember there was another like social media influencer saying she had, I think at the time, like 6 kids, and her last kid, she was just anxious for the health and she'd never had that before. So that was just my experience of just feeling like, is the baby going to be okay? So I put it down to just an anxiety because I didn't have any health concerns. I was never told that there was anything wrong with the baby. It was just myself, really.
So how did that translate? Did you go for extra scans? Did you?
I thought I would have extra scans because, because at the time I was 30, just turned 35. Mm-hmm. So I thought when you're 35, you're geriatric pregnancy.
Ooh,
that's what I thought. Well, that's what I thought. That was what you were. So that's what I knew. I thought, okay, 35. So when I had my first scan, I was like, okay, so how many do I get this time? Because the last time I only got 2. So are you going to give me like one every month? And she was like, why would I do that? I'm like, because I'm 35. She was like, so what? I was like, aren't I geriatric? She was like, no. We go by the health. So if there's something, if there's a health concern, you can have more, but there's nothing wrong with your health. And 35, we don't consider that like geriatric. I'm like, oh. So there's nothing that I don't get anything extra. She's like, no.
I'm liking this midwife. I don't know her, but I like her.
Yeah, I was like, okay. But I was hoping that I would have extra scans just because I was so anxious. I wouldn't have cared with my other 2 pregnancies, but for this one, I really could have done with them. But no, there wasn't anything extra. It was just the standard.
Yeah. Did you go privately?
Only for the first scan.
Okay.
Only for this first scan. I was considering doing a 1 in 5 month scan, but in the end, we just didn't have time. So that's the reason why we didn't. Yeah, probably would have.
Yeah, probably helped. The fact that you probably didn't have that much time.
Yeah, exactly.
With the other 2 running around.
Exactly. I think if I had it my way, I probably would have been one of those people that would just have a Doppler just to check if the baby was okay. Yeah. I don't think that would have helped me. I don't think it would have because you can never be updated on a child's heartbeat unless you're checking every second. But yeah, I ended up not and just trusting in God and just having to do like a lot of prayer and just calming my nerves and calming my mind for it. I almost felt like there was a point in the pregnancy where I didn't even feel like I could get excited until she was actually here because I was just still so anxious.
To that point.
Until she was actually here, I didn't feel like I could celebrate much. So yeah, that was again just how the anxiety kind of transpired.
Were you able to, is that a conversation you had with any professionals like your GP or your midwife? Is that a conversation you...
I didn't know. I think it was... No, I didn't. And looking back, I probably could have had a conversation, but I didn't. But I do know that there was times where I would just wake up in the night and literally look at the scan and just be like, oh my God, I hope baby's okay. So I knew that I was like more anxious because again, this is my 3rd pregnancy, never had these kind of feelings before. And nor has anybody said anything that, So I knew that I was very aware that it was myself, if that makes sense. I knew it was my anxieties more than anything else because I was very aware of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. So
there's nothing sort of... It was just a feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of a gut feeling, maybe.
Yeah.
Of anything. How was your birth?
The birth was for the 3rd born. It was a natural birth. It was just a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But I would say the pain was just like 4 times as much as the others, but it was quicker.
Yeah. So that was a natural birth?
It was a natural birth. And it was just literally a few hours. So it was probably out of all of the births, like I would say, even though it was the quickest, it was probably the hardest.
Oh, wow.
Just because of the pain. I think the others...
Because it just went from 0 to a million in no time.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be like the others where, 8 hours. One of them was like 10 and a half, but it was like a gradual kind of pain where you could manage it. But by the time I'd got to the hospital, I was fine. But by the time, I think half an hour before then, it just went from 0 to 10, where the others, it was just, step by step. So by the time I got to the hospital, I went to the birth centre, but there was no, I wasn't eligible for like any kind of pain relief by that point because I was so progressed. Yeah. I wanted to go into the pool. The plan was to go into the pool. They were like, we don't think you're going to make it into the pool because we think the baby will be here before. And I was like, can you fill it up anyway? Like, we can fill it up anyway, but it takes like 45 minutes or half an hour. I'm like, we'll do it anyway. And I remember asking for all these different things. I'm like, can I have pethidine? They're like, no, you're too far gone. I'm like, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have epidural? They're like, you can't. And I'm like, what can I have? They're like, paracetamol. I'm like, give that to me.
Did it help?
I didn't take it. I couldn't even, I just couldn't take it. They had gas and air there, but I couldn't. By the point I'd got there was nothing I could have except just breathe in. But once she was here again, absolutely fine. It's just up until that point was just like bang, bang, bang.
Okay, I'm with you. What about your boys? How did you prepare them for the arrival of that new baby?
So I think that was a lot easier. We had, with the boys, we allowed them to be part of the whole journey. We told them 12 weeks. That was the time we told them that we were pregnant, when we were 12 weeks, so quite early. Because at the time they were like 2.5 and 4.5. Yep. They could kind of understand things. And also because they're quite boisterous boys, we needed them to know what was happening to mummy. So nobody comes and jumps on my stomach as they kind of do, like step over me and things like that. And just so that they can just be a bit softer with me. Yeah. I don't know if that actually helped. Yeah, just to prepare them. So we did a gender reveal with just the 5 of us, or 4 of us at the time, to show them what's going to be a boy or a girl, and so they knew it was going to be a girl. So we kind of kept them like updated, and they remember it even till now. And I had the belly and everything, so we just kind of kept them like part of the process. Yeah, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Okay, and so. How was it once baby was here? Baby girl then? Yeah. First girl in the family.
First girl.
And also your child that has the same position in the family as you.
Yes. Oh yeah, the girl. That's actually, yeah, true. Sometimes I don't think about those things, but yeah, she is. She's the same position, last born as me, yeah. So very similar, baby girl. But I'm very aware of what, trying to not allow their birth order position to define their character. I'm quite big on those things because I know that there's so much pros and cons to the different birth orders. So there's a book I've read. It's called Birth Order Blues. It's by a lady called Mary Wallace. And it just talks about, basically goes into depth of what I've said in terms of, the eldest child, you're more likely to be stricter on them. They always go first, and then the middle child might feel a bit more neglected. They're a bit more, have a bit more of a playful personality, and then the younger one may get away with more, and how gender plays into it. So I've done, I've read quite a lot of those things. So I do try and implement that in my parenting, just to make sure every child shines, irrespective of where they are in the birth order. So that's kind of what we try and do anyway.
Yeah. And so what was it like going home now as a family of 5? Your 2 boys, your little girl. What was it like? All of a sudden, you are outnumbered.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it was so special when we went home. I was only in for 24 hours, came home, and I remember my mum has always given me the advice of when you have a sibling that's meeting their new sibling, to always have that baby, try and have the baby not in your arms, try and have the baby like in a cot somewhere away. Yeah. So I always did that, and we did that with her, and we did that with my second born. So we had them kind of go over to the baby, and they still remember that moment to this day, where they remember her just in her little cot. And yeah, it just brought a softness to the home. I remember the boys holding her, but it was chaos at the same time, because they still have things, the kids are still running around, and you have a newborn, and the oldest was 4.5. So it's still quite a lot going on in the home. But we did, again, have my mum over there to help. But one of the things I remember being quite conscious of is like the bonding between me and the baby. Because I remember with my second born, I felt that I didn't get to bond with him as much during the early days, because I was so engrossed in the toddler. And that was something I was really conscious about with my third born, thinking, how am I going to actually get to bond with her as much with all of this? But something ended up happening to me a few days in. After I'd had her, I'd actually got admitted to the hospital. I'd got strep A. So I ended up staying in the hospital for an extra 7 days or 9, 7, I think it's 7 or 8 days. I was in the hospital. So I wasn't around for Christmas because it was just in December. My son had his birthday then, it was Christmas. So I was in hospital, which would usually be a really testing time for people, for somebody in the right frame of mind. But for me, I didn't feel very ill. even though I was. But I just remember that time as just thinking, oh my God, it's just me and the baby. Like, I was so shocked I even had a girl.
So baby went to the hospital with you?
Yeah, baby went to the hospital with me. She stayed with me the whole time. So it was just me and her, like every single day, every waking minute of the day. And I feel like that period and that experience happened for a reason, because God knew that I couldn't have bonded with her in the house with all the kids around. But just having that week with just unlimited time, not having to do anything, just having staff, you know, food, and, you know, didn't have any cleaning or anything to do. It was just us. I feel like that really solidified the bond between me and the baby. And I just don't think I would have had that. So even though the circumstances were no way ideal, no way would I choose that. However, the outcome of that, I think I will be forever grateful for.
Mm. What's strep A?
It's an infection that you get, but it can, if it goes into your blood, it can be at different parts of your body. But when it goes into your blood, you can get sepsis, which can be fatal.
Yeah.
So it's pretty dangerous.
How did you notice that something was off?
I had heavy bleeding.
Okay.
And it was really heavy, but I still thought, okay, I'll be fine. And then I was in bed and my husband noticed me shivering. And that's when he was like, we've got to go to hospital. I was like, no way. Like three days after having a baby, I've got 2 children at home. I'm okay. And he's like, well, if we're not going to go to hospital, call 111. And I called them and they were like, yeah, just go in to check. And I was like, I really can't be bothered going to the hospital. I've got 3 small kids. Ended up dropping the 2, my mother-in-laws, and then went into the hospital. And they kept me in a room. And I just remember thinking, God, it's really cold in here. Had my coat on, put my husband's coat on. I was like, it's really cold. And that's when they did the test and actually said, I can't leave. I've got strep A. And then they said it's actually progressed. Now it's in my blood.
Okay.
And that's when it is really dangerous, because if once you have sepsis, if your body doesn't control it, it can be fatal. But I think at the time, again, another blessing, I didn't know what strep A was and I didn't know how serious it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, ignorance is just the best thing, because when you don't know, you can't panic.
Yeah.
So I had no idea.
In this case, ignorance is bliss.
It absolutely is. So all I was thinking about is literally, she was just like a gem, just an angel. I just used to always just wake up and just stare at her. Just that was all I cared about. Every minute I'm just like staring at this baby. They're like, oh yeah, we're checking your levels. I'm like, yeah, go for it. Wow, I've got a daughter. Like, wow, that's the only source of, that's all I literally cared about for the last 7 days was that. When I think back about it, it's like a crazy experience, but that was what happened.
It's a little while. So, and that was just over Christmas as well.
Yeah, it was over Christmas. That's probably where it felt the hardest, is just when I thought I was going to go back at Christmas. And I remember crying. The first time I actually cried because I realised I wasn't going to spend Christmas with the kids. And I remember I had this really lovely porter who would come in and clean and chat to me. And I remember her saying, why are you crying? I said, well, I thought I wanted to be home with the kids. And she's like, didn't you say you had 2 boys? They were 4 and 2. I was like, yeah. She goes, please, you go home. I bet you, when you go home, you'll be like, take me back to the hospital. I can't take me back. She was like, so stay here until you're ready to go home. Because if you're not ready to go home, you'll want to come back. So I remember that just made me laugh and just realize that, you know what, let me just get better.
So you went back home after Christmas?
Yeah. Went back home at Christmas, and I felt strong. I used to have I made a whole bunch of, what was it called? Broth. I made loads of broth, beef broth. What was it called? Beef broth? Beef bone broth. Loads of that. And I remember that's what I used to have every single day, just a glass of that, because it just replenishes all your nutrients. There was a book that I read, First 40 Days, and they recommended having that after birth. It's good for your breast milk. It's just good for replenishing the mother's, all your nutrients. And it has, it's a really lovely book, and it's a lovely illustrative book as well. It talks about all the meals that you need for different parts of postpartum. So I followed that. And that, I think, having the good diet, when I look back at the pictures of myself after I've come out of hospital, Like I look better than I did when I had my firstborn. Like I feel like how I nourished myself and the knowledge I had and my past experience kind of knew how to look after myself and also knew what support I needed. I wasn't really shy about asking for what I needed and not doing what I couldn't. Yeah.
What sort of support did you ask for?
So I had the kids in nursery, but up the days for the younger one. I had my father-in-law looking after the younger one as well. I would call on my mum whenever she was free. I'd be like, look, just come round. You take the kids. My husband as well. I just use him as much support as possible. Whenever he had time, he would take the baby from me, give me a nap, let me have a nap. Or take, just any kind of support I would have. I had one of my really good friends didn't live far at the time. So she would kind of come round, keep me company. If I need to have a nap, she was there. So I would just kind of do anything I could to just give myself a bit of a break.
Yeah. Getting your village around.
Yeah, exactly. I think nothing was more important at the time than village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Obviously. I like that. So now we are 2.5 years later.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years later.
Yes.
Wow. What's it like?
Oh, it's so much calmer now. Then it still is busy because we still have children that are under 10. Like our youngest is 7. I think the hardest thing now is the rushing around. I feel like I'm constantly going somewhere for the kids, dropping them at this activity to that activity to homework. The easiest one is the baby because, we're not doing any activities for her at the moment. It's just kind of the older boys. So that's really the part that's a lot for us. But it's funny because I can have all the kids at home with me and none of them are actually in the same room as me. They just want to be with each other. So I'm now having more time. I have to come in and be like, hi guys, like, does anyone want to hang out? They're like, no, we're actually doing this, or we're playing pirates. So we have so much more space, and me and my husband can just like hang out together. When before it was one hanging off this here, one hanging off there, and it happened so fast, happens so quickly. 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago, my life was just really intense with really small kids. But fast forward 2 years later, and they're still really young, don't get me wrong, they're still small kids. But once they're walking and talking and they want to do their own little thing, as a parent, you do get your space back. Like it comes back before you know it. You have that bit of space. So that's kind of where we are now. So we do have our challenges in terms of raising your children. That is not ever going to be easy. And even if that doesn't take up time, you need to do it right. So that is hard in itself. But in terms of like physically and waking up at night and, the drain on your body, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah. I think we've got to the end of your story, probably. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you feel like you would have loved to know all those 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah. I think what I wish I could have told myself then is just to enjoy the journey and just take it easy and speak out for anything you might need, not to compare yourself or try and be the perfect mother. Just enjoy your children because they grow so quickly. That's probably what I would have told myself back then, and not to be stressing and anxious, and just take your time and just enjoy it. So that's probably what I would tell myself.
I'm loving that. I'm loving that. And I think that it's probably going to give some hope to some parents who are in the midst of it, who are thinking, at what time can I have my bowl of soup? Bowl of soup.
Hot tea.
Or hot tea.
Those things.
When will that come back? But it does come back.
It does.
Quicker than you thought it would.
Yeah, exactly. Before you know it, they're grown. So you just have to enjoy that time and not to compare yourself. I think I had so much struggle with comparing. You'd hear somebody's child at 6 months is sleeping through the night. That used to really get to me. I'm like, what? I've got like a 9-month, 10-month, 11-month-old who's not sleeping through the night. And, or somebody's, you know what I mean? Like people are in their motherhood is very different than yours. You can see a parent that she's had a child maybe 2 months ago. She's out partying, looking amazing. But then you don't know. She could be going through postpartum depression. You have no idea. And that's the things that transpired later where I would compare myself. Some people would be like, how is she looking so amazing and going out and this and that? And I've realised that a person actually was going through a situation, but you wouldn't know those things by looking at it. And you stupidly compared yourself thinking you're the same. So those are the things I would just tell myself, and it gets easier.
I love it. I love it. So that's probably the end then for today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for sharing your story. I loved it. Like I said, I think it's probably going to give some hope to lots of new parents or not so new parents. But it's just that, things change. They move on. Yeah. Enjoy what you have. Yeah. And, be strong when the changes are sent your way.
Absolutely.
So, that's that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Candida. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Today's conversation took us through her lifelong longing to becoming a mother, the fears that shaped her 20s, and the joy and surprise of watching her children grow out of babyhood far sooner than she ever imagined. Suddenly, there she was, able to enjoy a warm bowl of soup again, a quiet reminder of how quickly those early years pass. If you'd like to explore anything we mentioned, you'll find all the details in the show notes. And as always, thank you for being here with me on Raising with the Village, where every story shows just how much we learn, grow, and rediscover ourselves through parenthood. You've been listening to Raising with the Village. If you're enjoying these conversations, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Deezer, so you never miss a new story. New episodes come out every Thursday. You can also find us on Instagram at Raising with the Village or on our website at raisingwith.co.uk, where you'll find more about the project and past episodes. If you have a story to share about parenting, step-parenting, or just navigating family life, I'd love to hear from you. You can get in touch through the website or send a message on Instagram, because every story shared helps another parent feel seen, heard, and supported. Until next time, bye-bye!